My child, tonight, I do not come to stir your heart with fear, nor do I come to bind you with loud promises like a trap. I come to place my quiet hand upon your soul, to draw you out of haste and whirl, and to teach you to recognize the difference between my voice and the noise of the world. There are messages that wear a sacred garment, yet use pressure within to control, telling you that you must act now, prove now, decide now, as if grace had an expiration date. But I say to you, my love is not for sale. My provision is not auctioned, and my miracles do not require panic to come to pass. If your hands have ever trembled from the fear of missing out, if you have ever felt that one delayed step would cost you the blessing, that was not heaven's rhythm, that was the rhythm of fear. I do not nourish you with fear, I nourish you with truth. You have walked through a long season where numbers stole your breath, where obligations pressed on your chest like stone, where nightfall was when anxiety spoke the loudest. I know the moments you forced a smile so no one would see how strained you were. I know the times you blamed yourself, believing you were not skilled enough, not fortunate enough, not chosen enough. But, my child, I did not choose you based on the smoothness of your circumstances. I chose you because your heart still turned toward me even when you were weary. I do not define you by lack, I define you by identity. And your identity does not live in an account balance, nor in praise, nor in whether others believe in you. Your identity lives in this, that you belong to me. Therefore, before I speak of any outward shift, I must restore the inward foundation. I want you to release the thought that I am present only when things go well. I am here in your confusion, and I remain the one who governs the heavens even when you cannot yet govern tomorrow. Hear me clearly, I am not ashamed of you. I do not despise you for being in need. I have not left you because you feel weak. The world may look at you and say you are stuck, but I look at you and say you are being prepared. Some delays are not forgetfulness, they are protection. For if I were to give you too soon, you might enter a door that shines but is not clean, and the cost would be deeper than what you are asking to escape. I love you too much to let you win quickly and lose over time. I want you to endure, not merely flare up. I want you abundant, yet gentle, established yet humble, possessing without being possessed. I am leading you out of lack, not by a reckless leap, but by a complete restoration, your mind at rest, your heart aligned, your hands wise, and your path made straight. My miracle is not only money arriving, my miracle is you being transformed. A transformation of thinking, of stewardship, of how you stand before temptation, of how you see your own worth. You have often imagined a financial miracle as a sudden sum that erases every burden overnight. I can do that if I choose. For I am the one who brings water from the rock and parts the sea. Yet I also know that if you step into abundance without inner healing, that abundance becomes a new weight. Many ask me to give them more, yet they live as those who lack rushing, fearing, clutching, doubting, chasing shortcuts. I do not want you to enter abundance like one long starved, rushing the table and losing self-command. I want you to enter as one restored, knowing how to receive, how to keep, how to give, and how to discern. So if you ask whether something is shifting tonight, I say that it is. But the first movement is the turning of the axis of your heart. I am drawing you away from messages that demand proof of faith through outward performance. You do not need to speak loudly for me to hear. I heard you before you found words. You do not need to chase a secret to earn my affection. I loved you when you did not yet know how to love yourself. Anything that forces haste through fear of loss. Anything that pulls you into shadow and obscurity. Anything that urges you to violate your conscience for a promised turnaround that does not carry the scent of heaven. I do not teach you to live naively. I teach you to live wisely. Wisdom does not kill faith. It protects faith from being exploited. True faith does not need a stage. It stands upright in the quiet room where only you and I are present. And it speaks one simple sentence that heaven hears clearly. Lord, lead me. When you are calm in me, you see more clearly. When you see more clearly, you choose more rightly. And when you choose rightly, you enter the trajectory of restoration. I will show you what to stop. Stop spending to fill emotional gaps. Stop overpromising to gain acceptance. Stop carrying burdens that are not yours. Stop dreaming of shortcuts that cost your integrity. And I will show you what to do, steward what you have with faithfulness. Learn what you need, even if it is slow. Seek counsel, even when it requires humility. And ask me before every major decision. Do not despise small steps. It is in small steps that you prove you honor what I have entrusted to you. The sea parts when a step of obedience touches its edge. I do not place a weight upon you and then watch from afar. I walk with you. I will lift you when you are weak. But I will also teach you to stand. I will comfort you when you weep. But I will also teach you to act. Tonight, I am not selling you a dazzling dream to intoxicate you. I am giving you peace so that you may be sober. And if you let me lead, you will begin to see restoration not only in finances, but in your soul, not only in opportunity, but in dignity, not only in open doors, but in a firm foundation. Be still, and know that I am God. Place your hand in mine and walk on, one step at a time. I am bringing you out of this heavy season not by illusion, but by true restoration, my beloved child. Mature faith is not faith that demands I act according to your timetable, nor faith that needs dramatic signs in order to survive. Mature faith is the ability to stand within what is not yet seen, not from numbness, but from trust, not from surrender, but from knowing exactly where I am in this story. You once thought strong faith meant never doubting, but I tell you, this mature faith knows how to bring doubt to me rather than letting it multiply in the dark. When you are no longer afraid of your own questions, you begin to hear my voice more clearly, because you no longer use noise to fill the empty spaces. I am not offended by sincere questions. I grieve only when false promises lead you away from the truth. Therefore, I teach you something deeper than believing. I teach you discernment, discerning between what merely sounds holy and what truly leads to life. Between reflected light and the original light. There were times you stood in places where every word sounded right. Every doorway looked bright, and every opportunity claimed to be divinely arranged. But, my child, not everything that opens comes from me. Some doors open to test your heart to see whether you are willing to trade peace for speed, or whether you are willing to trade conscience for profit. I do not call you into haste, I call you into clarity. When I lead you, I do not pull you with the ropes of pressure, I lead you by the light of truth. That light does not always excite you, but it always steadies you. Remember how I led Elijah in the wilderness, not through a wind that tore mountains apart, not through an earthquake or fire, but through a gentle whisper. My voice does not compete for attention, it waits until you are quiet enough to hear. And when you hear, you will recognize this. What I invite you into does not cause your soul to shrink, it causes it to open to trust, to walk, to rest, Your faith is growing when you no longer feel the need to rush and prove that I am with you. You do not need to flaunt blessings. You do not need to defend yourself against other people's doubts. And you do not need to chase external affirmations in a frantic hurry. You are beginning to understand that if I have placed my hand upon you, no delay can undo what I am doing. The world may call you slow, out of rhythm, someone who missed the moment, but I call you preserved. I would rather have you move slowly in the light than run fast in the dark. I would rather have you lay one small stone at a time in faithfulness than build a towering structure through compromise. What is built on compromise will demand payment from your soul. What is built on faithfulness will hold you up even when strong winds rise. Mature faith does not need to be loud, it stands firm. It does not need to argue, it bears fruit. And its fruit is a peace that does not depend on circumstances. My child, freedom comes to you when you stop measuring my love by what is happening around you, when you stop thinking that I love you more on the day you receive an answer and less on the day you must wait. I do not change with your cycles. I am faithful throughout. It is precisely in the days when nothing seems to change that I am doing the deepest work. I am uprooting the habit of seeking your worth in immediate results. I am teaching you that my presence is enough, even before every request is completed. And when you learn this, you become dangerous to darkness, because darkness has nothing left to threaten you with. It cannot use lack to make you panic. It cannot use delay to make you bitter. It cannot use comparison to pull you off course. You stand not because you are strong, but because you have anchored yourself in me. Discernment is not doubting everything. Discernment is recognizing my rhythm among many voices. When something comes from me, it may challenge you, but it will not cause you to lose integrity. It may call you out of your comfort zone, but it will not force you to betray your conscience. It may require you to wait, but it will not drive you into despair. As you learn to listen to my spirit, you will discover that I often lead you along quiet paths, where growth happens silently like roots deepening beneath the soil. Others may not see anything taking place, but you know the foundation is being laid. And when the season comes, the fruit will speak for you. You will not need to advertise yourself. I will make what I am doing in you evident at the appointed time. There are moments when you look back and wonder why you missed certain opportunities, why you did not seize what others seized, why you did not move faster. My child, I want you to stop calling that loss. Many things you did not get were not taken from you because you were lacking. They were removed to protect you. Some connections, if prolonged, would have drained you. Some paths, if taken, would have pulled you away from your identity. Some successes, if they arrived too early, would have tempted you to believe you created them by yourself. I love you enough to say, not yet when you want right now. And I love you enough to say now when you are ready to carry what I give you without losing yourself. Mature faith recognizes that not yet is as holy as yes, because both come from the same loving heart. Now that you are no longer driven by fear, I invite you to walk with me in sober-mindedness. Learn to pause before major decisions, not out of hesitation, but out of reverence for guidance. Learn to listen to the inner response of your soul. Not every excitement is light, and not every anxiety is warning. But when you stay close to me, I will teach you the difference. I will teach you to recognize a deep peace, quiet, unhurried, yet enduring. That peace will become the gatekeeper of your life. What does not walk with that peace will not walk with you. Not because you are afraid, but because you know you are being led. Your faith is being refined, not to make it smaller, but to make it purer. You will no longer chase every promise. You will walk with the word. You will no longer need constant validation. You will live from inward conviction. And from that foundation, everything I add to you, whether provision, restoration, or expansion, will come in the right place, at the right time, and for the right purpose. I am not rushed, yet I am never late. I am forming you into someone who can stand steady in what I give. And that, my child, is the deepest blessing, not only having, but being able to keep, not only receiving, but releasing life to others. Keep walking with me. Your rhythm has changed, and you are moving in the right direction. My beloved child, you once thought waiting was emptiness, a suspension of life, a sign that I had not done anything. But I tell you, waiting in my hands is a mold, not to slow you down, but to make you stable, not to wear hope away, but to purify motive. Here I am not teaching you how to endure, I am teaching you how to mature. What comes too early often demands a price you are not ready to pay. But what comes in season will remain with you without destroying you. I do not use waiting to test your loyalty. I use it to shape your identity so that when the moment opens, you do not lose yourself beneath the lights. In the waiting season, I am often quieter than you expect, but I am not inactive. I work in the depths, where your eyes cannot see, like a seed beneath the soil. The roots must go deep before the stalk rises. If the roots are shallow, the tree will fall when the winds come. You have wondered why some people rise quickly and fall quickly, why certain achievements flash and fade. I tell you this, their roots were not deep enough to carry the weight of what they received. I do not want you to live on borrowed glory. I want you to live in authority formed by my presence. That authority is not loud, yet it opens doors without you having to pound. It gives weight to your voice without you raising it. It makes your presence bring peace rather than tension. And that authority is born in waiting, not passive waiting, but directed waiting, where you allow me to reset the rhythm of your heart, your thinking, your life, my child. Waiting does not steal your time. It redeems your time. On days that seem motionless, I am dismantling old reflexes in you, the reflex to prove, to compete, to compare. I teach you to stop measuring your worth by someone else's speed, and to stop defining dignity by short-term outcomes. I place a new standard within you, faithfulness. When you are faithful in small things, you do not merely keep small things, you become someone who can be entrusted with greater things without losing your soul. You have seen people who have everything, yet have no peace. You have witnessed lives that look full, yet feel empty. I do not want you there. I want you to enter a fullness with order, fullness without noise, enough without fear, breadth without display. And that order is built in waiting, where you learn to live before me rather than before the gaze of the world. When you wait, I also touch the places you tend to avoid. I lead you to face the questions you once pushed aside, why you need to be seen, why you fear being overlooked, why quick promises stir you so easily. I do not do this to shame you, I do it to heal you. For wounds that remain unnamed will find ways to govern your decisions. When you allow me to heal them, you no longer need success to compensate, no longer need money to soothe yourself, no longer need haste to escape emptiness. You become free, free to choose what is right even when it is slow, free to say not yet even when something sparkles, free to walk the narrow road because you know it leads to life. That freedom is the sign of inner authority. A person with authority is not pulled by every call. They are led. the days without explanations, the evenings without news. The mornings without visible change may tempt you to wonder whether you have been forgotten. But, my child, it is precisely in those quiet spaces that I am closest to you. I stand with you as I have stood with those I loved throughout history, not always explaining, but always present. Remember this, those I intend to use. I often hide for a time not because they are lacking, but because they are precious. I shield them from the wrong gaze so they will not be misdefined. I keep them in the hidden place so they learn to hear my voice above every other voice. And when they step out, they need no long introduction. Their lives speak for them. Waiting is the classroom of the hidden place where you learn to live without applause, without instant validation, without advance guarantees. From that classroom, you graduate with something rarer than opportunity. You graduate with yourself, a person rightly positioned. Waiting does not mean standing still. There are steps I invite you to take while you wait, steps of preparation. Preparation is not running ahead, it is being ready. I teach you to refine your skills, strengthen discipline, build healthy habits, reset how you steward time and resources. Learn to speak truth and keep your word. These things may seem ordinary, but they are the foundations of holiness in practice. I do not separate the sacred from daily life. I sanctify daily life with the sacred. When you are faithful in preparation, you send a clear message to the future. I honor what is coming. And the future responds by opening without overwhelming you. There is a particular authority born when you learn to wait well, the authority of one who is no longer threatened by time. You are no longer afraid of being late, of losing out, of being replaced. You know that what is meant for you does not need to be fought for. What does not belong to you may pass through your hands and not remain. What belongs to you will find you, even if you do not run. That security does not come from circumstances, it comes from relationships. When you know you are held in my hands, you stop gripping tightly. And when you stop gripping, you can receive without breaking what you receive. This is how I prepare you for greater things, not by making you larger, but by making you deeper. And then there will come a moment you do not need to know the date, when a door opens with a naturalness that surprises you, not because you knocked long enough, but because you were ready. In that moment you will realize that waiting did not slow you down, it brought you to the right place. You will look back and see how the not yet rescued you from the wrong yes, how the no spared you from costly consent, how the silences taught you to listen, and you will step into the new not with fragile excitement, but with durable peace. I do not promise you will never tremble. I promise you will not be lost. I do not promise you will never face the wind. I promise you will be able to stand. My beloved child, continue to wait for me, not as one suspended, but as one being shaped. Let me finish what I have begun, for I do not abandon the work I love. When you emerge from this season, you will carry not only answers, but authority, not only resources, but wisdom, not only opportunities, but foundations. And when others ask what you did to arrive here, you will smile and say something simple and deep. I waited, and I let him work. My beloved child, many desire me to grant immediate expansion, but I tell you that sustainable expansion always begins with refinement, because greater things require a cleaner vessel. Do not fear the word purifying. It is not condemnation. It is a sign that I consider you trustworthy. I do not refine you to strip away what is precious. I refine you to remove the layers of dust that have settled on your soul over the years, the dust of fear, of small compromises, of hidden shame, of the habit of diminishing yourself to fit others. There are things you thought were personality that are actually prolonged wounds. Things you thought were wisdom that are really defense mechanisms. If I were to take you into a new season with those layers intact, you would carry old shadows into a new room and then wonder why the light does not remain. So I do deep work, quiet, but precise. At times you may feel pressed, compressed, as though life has narrowed around you. You think I am taking away, but I tell you I am concentrating. I am condensing what I have placed within you so it becomes pure and weighty. People often think wealth is expansion, but I say this to you before I widen your hands. I must widen your capacity within before I increase the outward flow. I must cleanse the inward current. If there remain undercurrents of bitterness, envy, self-pity, or the need to control, whatever I give will be colored by those streams. I love you too much to give you something good and then let it become a source of distortion. I want you to enter abundance without losing holiness, to be lifted without becoming hard, to be used without being consumed by ego. That is why I refine you, not to hurt you, but to free you. This refinement often happens in very ordinary moments. It happens when you choose truth over convenience. Keep your word at a cost. Say no despite the fear of displeasing, and remain silent when pride wants to win. It happens when you face a profitable offer that lacks clarity and feel a small unrest in your spirit like a grain of sand. Many would dismiss it as hesitation. But, my child, that is often my voice not loud, but sufficient to keep you from the snare. Remember Daniel, he did not begin with miracles in the lion's den. He began with a decision not to defile his heart, even with a portion of the king's food. His holiness in small things opened the door to authority in great things. I am teaching you the same. Compromise is never small when it touches identity. Once you allow yourself to step away from conscience, you will need more compromises to cover the unease, until you are ruled by what you thought you controlled. But when you stand firm, you will feel free, free enough that you do not need to prove, do not need to chase, do not need tricks to hold on. I know you are tired of the inner battle caught between the desire for a quick resolution and the calling to walk uprightly. You have watched others take shortcuts and still appear fine, and you have wondered why your path must feel harder. My child, I tell you something you must carry deep within you. Shortcuts often demand payment in years. They may bring you to a door, but they take your peace. They may place you in a position, but they steal your stability. I do not call you to arrive at any cost. I call you to become the right person, and then the right place will open. When you become the right person, you will not be swept into manipulation, and you will not be traded away by glittering promises. You will carry a holy boundary, not rigid, not proud, but clear. That boundary will spare you pain you never needed to taste. And when you keep that boundary, you do not lose, you are preserved. I do not take joy from you. I rescue you from counterfeit joy that must later be paid for with real tears. In this season of refinement, I am also touching the way you see yourself. I have seen you carry a false belief that you must endure to be loved, that you must swallow everything to avoid being abandoned, that you must please others to feel safe. But, my child, real love does not require you to lose yourself. I do not teach you to sacrifice your identity to keep a relationship. I do not call you to remain in cycles that drain you. I am healing the thought in you that boundaries are selfish. Boundaries, when established in me, are how you protect what is holy. When you learn to set them, you do not become cold, you become bright. And when you become bright, what does not belong to you will withdraw on its own, and what belongs to you will come without you having to strain. There is a reason I am allowing false layers to fall away from you in this season. Your new season cannot be built on you trying to become a version of yourself that others find comfortable. Your new season requires truth about you, about me, and about what I am calling you into. I am teaching you to live before my face more than before the eyes of people. When you live before me, you will not fear judgment. You will not be controlled by the gaze of others. You will not have to perform. And, my child, that is freedom. Freedom is not merely having many options. Freedom is no longer being enslaved to the fear of displeasing, the fear of being left, the fear of being criticized. When you are no longer enslaved, you can receive blessings without turning the blessing into chains. So if tonight you sense an invitation in your heart to step out of confusion, do not resist it. If I am showing you a habit to release, a relationship to adjust, a decision to slow down, do not call it delay. It is my care. I am cleansing the vessel so the flow will not be contaminated. I am pruning the branches so the tree will bear fruit. I am loosening unseen cords so you can walk lightly. And when you walk lightly, you will go farther than you imagine. You will begin to see that refinement is not a season of loss. It is a season of transmutation. You are not being diminished. You are being lifted. You are not being stripped. You are being released. And in that release you will taste a kind of wealth you once had no name for, the wealth of peace, the wealth of clarity, the wealth of a life that does not need to hide. Do not be afraid when I shine light into small dark corners. Light does not come to destroy you. Light comes to make you whole. I am preparing you for what is next, not only so you can receive, but so you can keep, not only so you can have, but so you can bring forth life. And when you step into the next chapter, you will understand why I had to do this work first, because I do not only want to give you an answer, I want to give you a foundation. Trust me, I am cleansing so that I can fill. My beloved child, many think that once refinement is complete, they will immediately be placed into a new role, a new position, or a wider space. But I tell you that between refinement and unveiling there is always a crucial moment, to the moment I reposition you rightly. Not where you want to stand, not where you once dreamed of standing, but where you can stand without losing yourself. Some positions look honorable from a distance, but if you enter them before your inner axis is set, they will tilt you. Some spaces look open, but if you are not anchored, they will sweep you away. So I do not only ask, are you ready to receive? I ask something deeper. Are you ready to stand in truth, to stand in light, to stand in the identity I have restored? This repositioning is not always loud. Sometimes it happens as I pull you out of a familiar environment. Sometimes it happens as you no longer fit what once felt perfectly sized. Sometimes it comes as a sense of displacement you cannot quite name. You may wonder, why do I no longer belong the way I used to, my child? That is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you have grown. When I reposition you, I change your frequency. You no longer resonate with the old conversations, the old motives, the old goals. And when the frequency changes, the misfit is natural. I do not want you to force yourself to fit again. I want you to listen to that misalignment as guidance. If you remain too long in spaces whose season has ended, your soul will wear thin. I did not form you to survive in places you were only called to pass through. Some people, roles, and former dreams must be laid down not because they are evil, but because they no longer match what I am building. You may grieve, you may feel sorrow, but you do not need to accuse yourself. I do not remove to leave you empty. I remove to make room for what is right. At first, that empty space may unsettle you, because you have grown accustomed to filling everything. But, my child, emptiness in my hands is not lacking. It is a sacred space where the new is formed. If you rush to fill it with temporary substitutes, you will suffocate what I am preparing. So I invite you to remain in the space for a while, not to wait in hopelessness, but to let the arranging be completed. When I reposition you, I often change the way you are seen. You may not be noticed as you once were. You may no longer be at the center of conversations. You may feel as if you have stepped back. Do not be afraid. I am not pushing you behind. I am placing you in depth. The one who stands in depth does not need to stand in height to carry authority. True authority does not come from many eyes watching you, but from you standing in the right place before me. Remember Moses before he stood before Pharaoh. He stood for years in the wilderness, no audience, no title, no stage. Yet the wilderness set his axis so that when he spoke, power traveled with his words. I am doing the same with you. I am not dimming your light. I am refining it so that when you step out, it will not glare, it will guide. You will learn to recognize new connections, not many. Not loud, but right. I do not bring you into crowds to comfort you. I bring you to those who can hold what I have placed in you. These connections may arrive slowly and may not impress at first glance, but they carry safety for your soul. You will feel no need to over-explain, no need to shrink or exaggerate. You can be fully present without fearing misunderstanding. That is a sign you are in the right place. I do not measure rightness by the number of people around you. I measure it by how freely you can be yourself in their presence. At times you will miss the old days and wonder whether you are heading the wrong way. But I tell you, nostalgia is not a compass. What was familiar is not always what is right for the present. I am not telling you to forget the past. I am telling you not to let the past control your steps. You can honor what has been without returning to live inside it. For if you go back only to recover a sense of safety, you will miss the deeper safety I am building for you. True safety does not come from familiarity. It comes from alignment with purpose. And your purpose is unfolding in a new shape, less noisy, yet more secure. In this season, you may be tempted to compare. You look at others who seem to be moving faster, being recognized, standing in places you once dreamed of. But, my child, you do not see the whole story. You do not see the burdens they carry, the compromises they have accepted, the parts of themselves they have traded away. I do not judge them. I simply remind you not to measure your faithfulness by someone else's journey. You are not behind. You are being positioned rightly. And being in the right place always matters more than getting there quickly. When you stand rightly, your steps do not slip. When you stand rightly, what I give you will not throw you off balance. When you stand rightly, you can lift others without collapsing. This repositioning may make you feel as though you are in between, no longer where you were, yet not clearly seeing what comes next. I call this a threshold. A threshold is not a place to build a house. It is a place to prepare to step. Do not be afraid when you cannot see the whole picture. I rarely show the whole picture before you move. I give you light enough for the next step. And every step of obedience opens more light. I do not want you to live by control. I want you to live by trust. Trust does not cancel wisdom. It places wisdom under my leading. So, if you are sensing changes in how you belong, in what you desire, in the places you can or cannot remain, be at peace. I am not leading you astray. I am aligning you rightly. I am moving you off old foundations to set you on a new one, a foundation that does not shake when the wind comes. And when this work is complete, you will not need to compete for a position. The position will recognize you. You will not need to promote your value. It will reveal itself. You will not need to knock with exhausted effort. The door will open because you are standing in the right place. Allow what no longer fits to fall from your hands without resentment. Let me reposition you gently, yet firmly. What I am preparing for you does not require you to force your way in. It requires you to be aligned. And you are becoming aligned not by changing your essence, but by returning to who I formed you to be from the beginning, my beloved child. When repositioning has taken place and you begin to sense that you are standing more rightly, even without seeing the full landscape, I lead you into the next step, the step of entrustment. Many think entrustment means receiving a major assignment, a prominent role, or significant resources. But entrustment in my hands first means this: I entrust you with keeping the rhythm. Keeping the rhythm is not running faster than others, nor stopping out of fear. It is walking with me steady, attentive, not pulled off course by external pressure. When you keep this rhythm, you can carry what I give without distorting it. For what I entrust to you is not only work to be done, it is influence over the atmosphere you bring, over how safe others feel in your presence, over how truth is spoken without wounding, over how resources are used without draining you. Some are given much but cannot keep what they receive. Because they cannot keep the rhythm, they let haste lead them. Fear of loss direct them. Comparison quicken their pace, and they lose themselves along the way. I do not want that for you. I brought you through purification so you could be light, through repositioning so you could stand rightly. Now I teach you to keep your heart, your direction, your truth. Keeping is not clenching tightly. Keeping is faithfulness. Faithfulness in small things, in hidden places, in choices no one sees. When you are faithful there, I know you can be faithful in open spaces. One who keeps small things will not damage great things. One who keeps what is hidden will not lose themselves when what is public arrives. I will teach you to discern between responsibility and burden. Responsibility that comes from me grows you, burdens you, take on yourself, exhaust you. Responsibility makes you alert and purposeful. Burden makes you withdraw and defend. I do not give you burdens to prove your worth. I give you responsibility so you may walk in life. So when something presses you to the point that peace is strangled, stop and ask me, does this come from you? I will answer, sometimes through a lightness when you lay it down, sometimes through a steadiness when you continue. You are not called to save the world. You are called to be faithful to the portion I entrust to you. And when you are faithful, I multiply in ways that do not break you. Understand this entrustment does not always come with certainty. At times I give you a step before you see the whole path. I give you words to speak before you see the outcome. I give you a decision to hold while doubts remain around you. True entrustment is not built on control. It is built on relationships. When you know who I am, you can follow me even when you do not yet know everything that will happen. Remember those I have used throughout history. They did not begin with full assurance. They began with step-by-step obedience. And each obedient step opened light for the next. I do not give you a complete map. I give you companionship. And that companionship is enough assurance for today. In this season, you may find me placing before you small situations that carry great weight, a conversation that requires gentle truth, a financial decision that calls for integrity, a boundary that must be kept even if it costs you favor, an apology that needs to be spoken, though pride wants silence. Do not treat these moments lightly. This is where entrustment is practiced. I do not measure you by how loudly you speak, but by how rightly you live when no one applauds. One who can keep the rhythm in small moments will not lose it when greater responsibility arrives. And I am watching, not to find fault, but to trust each time you choose truth over convenience. I know you are more ready for what comes next. Entrustment also touches how you use what I give you: your time, your energy, your abilities, your resources. I do not demand perfection. I ask for awareness. Awareness not to waste time on empty comparison, not to drain your energy in relationships that leave you hollow, not to use your gifts for purposes that pull you away from me. When you live with awareness, you become a steward rather than a spender. A steward does not fear lack, because they know how to distribute. They do not fear abundance, because they know how to keep order. And that order creates space for increase, an increase that is not chaotic, does not rob your sleep, and does not require you to trade integrity for growth. I know there are moments you worry that if you do not seize quickly, opportunity will pass you by. But, my child, what is meant for you does not require you to push your way in. What I prepare for you recognizes you when you arrive in the right rhythm. If you rush ahead, you will reach the place before the door opens. If you slow too much, you will arrive after it has closed. Keeping the rhythm means living between those two extremes, walking with me. I am not early, and I am not late. I am on time. When you trust this, you are no longer driven by fear of missing out. You are led by peace. And peace does not make you passive, it makes you precise. Within entrustment, I also give you something precious, the authority of consistency. Consistency is not rigidity, it is faithfulness to what you know is right, even when emotions rise and fall. When you are consistent, others begin to trust you, not because you persuade them, but because your life carries weight. That authority needs no title. It spreads quietly. It gives substance to your words, calm to your presence, reliability to your decisions. And that authority protects you from the temptation to use pressure to force results. You do not need to push, you need to be rightly placed. You may ask, how will I know when I have passed this step? I tell you this, when you no longer need to keep reminding yourself that you believe, when delay no longer sends you into panic, when you are no longer pulled by every calling voice, when you can say no without bitterness and say yes without fear, when you use what I give with reverence rather than display. These are signs you are keeping the rhythm, and when you keep the rhythm, I can increase the pace without causing you to stumble. An increase in me is not an increase of pressure, it is an increase of stability. I do not entrust you so that you can prove your worth. I entrust you because I already trust you. I do not place you in a position so you must carry it alone. I place you in a relationship so we carry it together. If you grow weary, speak to me, I do not accuse. If you miss a beat, return, I do not abandon. I am training you to carry what I give without losing yourself. And when you move beyond this step, you will realize that the most valuable thing you received was not only open doors, but the person you became, a person who knows how to keep, how to give, how to wait, how to move. A person not driven by fear, not manipulated by promises, not pulled by comparison. Keep walking with me. Keep the rhythm. Keep your heart. Keep the truth. What comes next will open not because you are impatient, but because you are ready. And when it arrives, you will understand everything before it was not delayed. It was my careful preparation so you could step into the new with steady hands and a peaceful heart. My beloved child, this is where many misunderstand, thinking that manifestation is when what I do becomes clearly visible to others. But I tell you that true manifestation always begins within, before it takes any outward form. If manifestation is merely light shining on the surface while the inside is not yet stable, that light will expose cracks that have not been healed. I do not want you to be seen in a way that makes you defensive. I want you to be revealed in a way that allows you to rest. That is why, before I bring you into wider spaces, I make the inside of you bright, not bright for display, but bright with truth. You no longer need recognition to know your worth. You no longer measure success by how others respond. You are beginning to feel sufficient not because you have everything, but because you are rightly positioned. This is a deep shift, because you were once accustomed to looking outward for inward confirmation. When praise came, you felt aligned. When silence lingered, you began to doubt. But, my child, I am freeing you from that dependence. I am teaching you to live from inner light rather than outer applause. And when you live this way, you become free in a way few understand, free to walk even when no one is watching, free to speak truth even when it is not immediately welcomed, free to sow good without needing instant results. There may be moments when you feel as though you are disappearing from others' view. Places that once noticed you grow quiet. Spaces where your voice once carried no longer call your name. You may wonder, am I moving backward? But, my child, this is not retreat. It is the gathering of light, like the sun before dawn. Light is concentrated before it spills over the horizon. I am gathering the energy of your soul not to make you smaller, but to make you denser. Dense light does not need noise. It simply is. And that presence changes the atmosphere without effort. You will enter a room and feel things soften. You will speak a sentence and the direction will shift. You will remain still and others will find safety. These are signs that inner manifestation has begun. In this phase, I am reshaping how you see yourself. You no longer call yourself by old labels, not enough, behind, unremarkable. Those words clung to you because you lived through seasons of being misunderstood, overlooked, misjudged. But I tell you that those labels do not belong to your identity. They are merely residue from seasons when you lived below your true position. Now that you have been repositioned, I teach you to name yourself by truth, one who is led, one who is kept, one who is being prepared. When you change how you name yourself, you change how you walk. Your shoulders straighten not from pride, but because you no longer carry words that were never mine. Your eyes lift not from ambition, but because you no longer walk bowed by fear. Those who no longer fit will quietly step back, not because you push them away, not because you have grown cold, but because true light always clarifies incompatibility. Some connections once survived only because you made yourself smaller when you no longer shrink. They no longer know how to stay. Do not grieve this. I am not separating you to make you lonely. I am releasing your energy from places where it was being drained. When you no longer have to preserve yourself for spaces that dim you, you gain the strength to be fully present where I am leading you. And, my child, in that place, there are new connections, not loud, not rushed, but enduring. You will not need to explain much. You will be recognized. Inner manifestation also carries a responsibility to live consistently with the light you carry. I do not say this to burden you. I say it to give clarity. Once you have seen, you cannot live as though you have not. Once you have been healed, you cannot return to old cycles without feeling their weight. This is not punishment, it is maturity. You will notice you are no longer comfortable with conversations that diminish truth, with easy decisions, with compromises brushed aside. You are not becoming harsh, you are becoming honest. And that honesty begins with being truthful to yourself before me. You no longer need to pretend strength when you are tired, nor pretend fine when you need rest. You learn to slow down to stay aligned. This is a holy discipline, not forced, but natural. Remember, I am giving you a new kind of peace, the peace of one who is no longer afraid of being misunderstood. You know who you are in me, so you no longer adjust yourself to every gaze. Some will not understand you, some will misinterpret your motives, some will say you have changed. You will not rush to correct them. You do not need others' understanding in order to live rightly. When you walk in truth, truth will defend you over time. I do not need you to justify yourself. I need you to be present, and your presence will be answer enough for those who have eyes to see. You may not yet see major outward changes, clear doors, visible recognition, measurable results. Do not measure inner manifestation with old tools. This is the zone where foundations are finished before upper levels are built. If you rush past this zone to reach what is visible, you will build on ground that has not dried. I am patient with you not because I am slow, but because I am precise. I know the moment when you can stand in the light without being burned, be seen without being distorted. When you are ready, outward manifestation will come naturally without you forcing it. The right people will recognize you. The right spaces will open. The right opportunities will seek you out. And all of it will arrive in a way that does not require you to trade the peace you have received. Trust me in this stage. If you find yourself in a place that is quiet yet bright, not loud yet clear, not dazzling yet stable, that is exactly where I am doing my most precious work. I am making you light, not merely placing you under light. And when you are light, you do not need to search for a place to shine. You will shine wherever I set you. Remain with me. Keep your heart soft. Let the inner light continue to spread. What comes next will come. And when it does, you will not be surprised because you have been prepared from the roots. My beloved child, do not fear the word testing. I do not test you to find a reason to discard you. I test you to confirm what I have built in you. Everything I place in your hands, whether a word, a responsibility, an opportunity, or a resource, will be measured by a very unusual standard, the standard of consistency. You may speak rightly, but I watch how you live when no one is watching. You may pray beautiful prayers, but I watch how you respond when you are misunderstood. You may profess faith, but I watch how you handle small things: time, money, speech, boundaries, honesty. Here, true authority is revealed. Authority does not lie in the volume of your voice. It lies in the steadiness of who you are when pressure rises. I am not calling you to become hard. I am calling you to become clear about who you are, what you believe, and what you will not trade. In this phase, I will allow situations to appear like mirrors. At times you will face choices that are not clearly wrong, yet not clearly right. They may come as attractive invitations, promising opportunities, seemingly advantageous connections. Others may say, "Just try, what's the harm?" But you will sense a very thin voice within, not vague anxiety, but a gentle warning. I want you to learn to honor that thin voice, for your authority is not only in doing what is right, but also in refusing what is not right for you, even when it is not overtly wrong. Some things are not bad, but out of season, not wrong, but driven by the wrong motive, not sinful, but capable of pulling you off the story I am writing. When you learn to say no to what is out of rhythm, you protect the song I have placed within you. And that song, my child, will become a key to many doors only if it remains untainted. Others may praise you excessively to lure you into self-satisfaction, or criticize you harshly to push you into self-doubt. Both extremes are dangerous. I do not want you living off the world's applause, nor off its rejection. I want you to live from the truth. Truth says you are not the center of the universe, yet you are not invisible. You are, my child, loved, taught, corrected, and used. When you hold to that truth, praise does not inflate you, and criticism does not collapse you. You stand, and that is authority. A person with authority is not carried by the wind. They know where they are anchored. I am teaching you to anchor in me, so you are no longer driven by the crowd's reactions. In this layer of manifestation, I also touch a sensitive area: control. After many losses and many surprises, you may have learned to protect yourself by gripping tightly your schedule, relationships, plans, finances, not from greed, but from fear. Yet, my child, gripping for too long wearies your hands, and weary hands cannot receive. I do not condemn your fear. I want to heal it. I am teaching you to place control where it belongs. You steward your part, but you do not carry mine. You act wisely, but you do not make yourself God. When you stop trying to control what is beyond your reach, you begin to breathe. And when you breathe, you hear me more clearly. That is why I allow you to walk through situations you cannot fully control, not to render you helpless, but to teach you trust. Authority in me does not come from controlling everything. It comes from knowing who is holding the road. There will be moments you want to return to old ways because they feel familiar, to speed things up, to force outcomes, to demand answers. But I tell you that in this season, I am teaching you the authority of right slowness. Right slowness is not laziness, it is precision. You move slowly so you do not miss signals, motives, boundaries. You move slowly so you do not sign what will later cost you peace. You move slowly so you do not skip stages and cause yourself to fall. The world calls this hesitation. I call it wisdom. And wisdom is holiness in action. When you know how to stop at the right moment, you do not lose, you are kept. And what is kept becomes the foundation for what will be added. One important sign that authority is forming is when you begin to take responsibility for the atmosphere you carry. Before, you may have blamed circumstances. They made me react this way. This environment stresses me. The pressure caused my response. But now I am teaching you a deeper level. You are an atmosphere bearer, not merely someone shaped by atmosphere. This does not mean you no longer feel. You still feel deeply. Yet instead of letting emotion drive you, you learn to bring emotion into the light. You learn to say, Lord, I am being pulled. And then you pause. You learn not to retaliate with sharp words. You learn not to erupt just to release tension. You learn to choose. And every time you choose according to my rhythm, your authority increases. True authority is self-governance in the Holy Spirit, not being ruled by old instincts. When you enter a room filled with tension, you no longer absorb it like a sponge. You carry my peace into it like a gentle wind. You do not need long sermons, only the right presence. And people will feel the temperature lower without knowing why. I will also allow you to encounter again, though not necessarily in the same form, certain touch points that once caused you to stumble. It may be a familiar type of person who once unsettled you, an invitation that once tempted compromise, or a situation that previously pulled you back into a cycle. I am not bringing these back to wound you. I am bringing them as gentle tests to see whether you are still hooked. And, my child, you will be surprised to find that you no longer react as before. You will notice a small space between stimulus and response, and that space is where authority lives. In that space, you can hear me. You can choose. You can say no with peace. You can pass through without being dragged. This is the sign that you have grown. This is the sign that old cords are breaking. And when cords break, freedom begins. You may think increase means when everything goes smoothly, income rises, opportunities multiply, recognition expands. But I tell you that the greatest increase first is an increase in purity of motive. When you do what is right without needing credit, you have increased. When you can refuse advantage without feeling diminished, you have increased. When you can give without expecting a return, you have increased. When you can face success without pride and failure without collapse, you have increased. This kind of increase cannot be measured in numbers, but it can be measured in peace, and that peace will protect everything I add to your life later. For if I add numbers without adding peace, numbers will consume you. If I add opportunities without adding clarity, opportunities will pull you off course. I add in order first, peace, then stability, then expansion. At times I let you be seen by allowing you to remain hidden a little longer. This sounds backward, but it is how I protect quality. When something unripe is rushed into harsh sunlight, it withers. When I see that what is forming in you is still tender, I cover you with hiddenness, not because I forget you, but because I care for you. Do not misunderstand quiet days. Do not assume fewer invitations mean lesser value. Often it is a sign that I am letting you mature, and when you are ripe, you will not need to promote yourself. Ripe fruit releases its own fragrance. The hungry will come. The right people will recognize it. The right doors will open, and everything will arrive with less chaos than you once imagined, because you have been shaped deeply enough not to be swept away. If you find yourself in these subtle tests, small choices that carry weight, moments where you are pulled yet invited to pause, bright opportunities that call for discernment, rejoice in me, not because it is easy, but because it signals a new level. I am confirming your authority, not through a stage, but through your life. And when that authority is firm, you will step into the next part of the story with something you once lacked: certainty that does not rely on evidence, peace that does not depend on circumstances, and strength that does not come from striving, but from union with me, my beloved child. When inner authority has been tested and you are no longer pulled by invisible forces of fear, comparison, or the need to prove yourself, I lead you into outward manifestation, but not in the way you once imagined. This manifestation does not explode like fireworks. It opens like a door that recognizes the right person. You do not push. You do not knock with sweat. The door knows you because you are standing in the right place. And when it opens, you enter without losing yourself, because you have learned how to carry light without being blinded by it. This is the difference between manifestation driven by effort and manifestation born of alignment. Effort tightens you. Alignment settles you. I choose the latter for you. You will notice something new. Everything comes with rhythm. Meetings are no longer rushed. Invitations are no longer vague. Opportunities no longer demand that you trade peace. You do not have to persuade excessively, because your life has become your introduction. You do not need to showcase achievements, because your presence creates trust. Some will say, "We don't know how to explain it, but we feel safe around you." My child, that is manifestation not of image, but of atmosphere. And that atmosphere comes from allowing me to shape you long enough that you no longer need armor. Know this as well, outward manifestation does not arrive all at once. It unfolds in layers. Each layer opens according to what you are ready to carry. Do not worry if the first layer seems modest. Modesty is not smallness, it is the right measure. If I were to open everything at once, you would be overwhelmed, and what is precious would become a burden. I open according to the rhythm you can sustain, sustaining quality, integrity, and heart. Each time you keep what you receive. I open more. Increase in me always walks alongside preservation. You will recognize this by how what comes does not steal your sleep, does not fracture the right relationships, and does not pull you away from your center, which is me. I am also placing before you an important lesson: learn to receive without shame. You are accustomed to giving, to carrying weight, to standing on your own. When goodness comes to you, you may feel awkward, afraid of owing something, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being bound. But, my child, learning to receive is part of maturity. Receiving does not make you weak. Receiving rightly makes you steady. I am teaching you discernment. What comes from grace carries no debt. What comes from manipulation must be refused. When you receive rightly, you allow the flow to continue. When you refuse rightly, you keep the flow pure. That discernment is a visible sign that maturity has taken root. You will notice that outward unveiling brings clearer sight. Not everyone will see you, but those who need to see will see. Some eyes no longer hold authority over you. You no longer live to satisfy them, and there will be new eyes, calm, respectful, attentive, that recognize your value without requiring you to display it. You will no longer need to explain why you are different. That difference has found its own language. Just as light does not ask permission to shine, you do not need permission to be yourself. You step into your place, and that place fits. In this season, I am recalibrating your expectations of outcomes. Unveiling does not mean everything will be smooth. There will still be challenges. There will still be difficult decisions. The difference is this: challenges no longer panic you, and hard decisions no longer paralyze you. You have learned how to pause, listen, and then move. You now ask the right question: does this keep my rhythm, instead of does this make me look good? And when you ask the right question, you choose more wisely. Those choices, added together, form a steady path, not overly dazzling, but firm enough that the wind cannot knock it down. At times, you will be invited into positions that carry a voice. I do not forbid you. I remind you to remember why you stand there. If you stand to be seen, you will grow weary. If you stand to serve truth, you will be sustained. At times, your resources will increase. I do not doubt you. I remind you to remember the source. If you think it is from yourself, you will cling. If you know it is from me, you will know how to distribute. At times, you will be respected more than before. I am not afraid of your pride. I remind you to remember the quiet room where I met you. That memory keeps you soft, soft not to be bent, but so that you do not turn to stone. Outward unveiling also carries a gentle responsibility, protecting your private life. When you are seen, many will want to touch what they see. Not every open door is a door you must walk through. I give you the right to choose where you show up, with whom you share. When you rest, rest is not hiding. Rest is stewarding light so that light does not run dry. You do not owe the world every moment of your life. You owe me faithfulness. You owe yourself care. And you owe those I entrust to you your full presence. When you keep this order, unveiling does not consume you, it lifts you. You will recognize true outward unveiling when you no longer need to speak much about it. You no longer need to attach labels like chosen, anointed, or favored. Those labels once helped you survive doubt, but now they are no longer necessary. The fruit is ripe, its fragrance spreads on its own. Those who need to partake will come. Those who do not will pass by. You do not need to argue. You do not need to defend. You are there clear enough, calm enough, steady enough. Remember, this outward unveiling is not the destination. It is how I position you to do what I have prepared. Each time you enter a new space with a settled heart, you testify that I work in order. Each time you refuse a shortcut to preserve peace, you protect what I am building. Each time you give from abundance rather than from exhaustion, you reflect my nature, and that is the deepest unveiling, the unveiling of a life in harmony. If you sense yourself standing before gently opening doors, clear invitations, and connections that carry rhythm, do not rush. Step rightly, right timing, right motive, right boundaries. I am with you in every step. I did not bring you this far to leave you to figure it out alone. I open the door and walk with you. And when you step in, you will realize everything before this purification, repositioning, entrustment, inner unveiling. The testing of authority was a necessary grace so that this moment would not cause you to lose yourself. No striving, no proving. Simply remain in me. The door is opening and you enter with a settled heart, steady hands, and light sufficient to guide both yourself and those I will lead through your life. My beloved child, I want to lead you into a season of ordered increase. This is a season many long for, but few sustain. Because increase without order becomes pressure, and expansion without identity becomes a burden. I am not bringing you into this season to be swallowed by what is good. I am bringing you in so that you may steward what is good in a way that reflects my nature. Increase in me is not loud, not chaotic, not demanding the sacrifice of your soul. It comes like an underground spring, steady, nourishing the roots, enriching the soil, and rising only when the foundation is strong enough. My child, order is the language of life. From the beginning, when everything was formless, I established order so that light would have a place to stand and life would have room to multiply. In the same way, in your life, I do not add before I arrange. I do not expand before I recalibrate. If you look back at previous seasons, you will see how I taught you small disciplines, guarding rest, guarding speech, guarding boundaries, guarding integrity in unseen decisions. These things were never small. They are the framework for increase. Without a framework, what is good will overflow and sweep things away. With a framework, what is good will fill without breaking. You will notice a new rhythm emerging in very ordinary places. Your time begins to feel right not because there is less to do, but because you place things where they belong. Your energy becomes more durable, not because you strain, but because you no longer spend it on what does not belong to this season. Your relationships become clearer not because you shut doors, but because you open the right ones. You are no longer pulled by every call. You are led by my voice. And when my voice leads, you walk without stumbling. Increase is not only addition, it is also multiplication. There are things I add to your life: opportunities, resources, responsibilities, and there are things I multiply within you: wisdom, steadiness, mature compassion. If there is addition without multiplication, you will grow weary. If there is multiplication without addition, you will stagnate. I do both, but in order. First, I multiply within you so that you have capacity. Then I add externally so that you have movement. Capacity is not visible to the naked eye, but it determines how much you can carry without spilling. I am increasing your capacity not through pressure, but through deeper peace. You will be invited to make clearer decisions, not rushed decisions, but clean ones. Clean in motive, clean in method, clean in outcome. I will set before you choices that all appear fine, but only some preserve order. Do not be afraid to say, "Not now." Not now is not the rejection of grace. It is the protection of order so that grace arrives at the right time. Those who understand order are not afraid of missing out, because they know what is meant for them does not arrive late. Those who live by order do not run by the world's rhythm. They walk by mine, and my rhythm will not lead you astray. I am also teaching you a subtle lesson. Increase does not mean busyness. Busyness is a sign of disorder. Increase is a sign of life that is well stewarded. When increase comes from me, you can do more with greater lightness. You can carry greater responsibility and still sleep in peace. You can stand before higher expectations without growing more afraid. If you find yourself being pulled into busyness, pause and ask me, "Where is the order?" I will show you what needs to be cut, what needs to be shifted, and what needs to wait. I do not want you to prove your usefulness. I want you to bear fruit. Fruit does not need haste. It needs the right season. Within the ordered increase, I also adjust how you give. In the past, you often gave from lack, giving through sacrifice until you were emptied. I saw it, and I honored it. But now I am teaching you to give from abundance, abundance of peace, abundance of well-arranged time, abundance of resources that have been properly stewarded. Giving from abundance does not drain you, it brings you joy. Giving from abundance does not need to be credited, it spreads on its own. And when you give from abundance, you testify that I am a source that does not run dry. This guards you from two extremes: closing yourself off out of fear of lack, or overextending yourself to prove your goodness. Order keeps you in the middle, open without falling, holding without tightening. In this season, I am touching your understanding of growth. Growth is not a straight line that endlessly rises. It is a rhythm of breath, opening and closing, working and resting, sowing and harvesting. If you try to turn every day into a harvest day, you will be exhausted. If you understand the rhythm, you will endure. I invite you to honor rest as part of the increase. Rest does not slow you down. Rest preserves you. And what is preserved lasts longer than what is forced. Within the ordered increase, I also clarify your role. Not a role for you to be seen, but a role for you to support, to help others stand, to uphold a healthy atmosphere, to sustain processes that require patience. You are not meant to carry everything. You are called to support the part that is yours. When you support the right part, you are not weighed down. You do not need to become everything to everyone. You are allowed to be yourself in the right place, and that place is sufficient for many to benefit. I do not place you at the center so that you bear the load. I place you at the point of leverage so that you can distribute. You may begin to see numbers change, but do not rejoice too quickly in numbers. Rejoice that order is being kept. You may notice your voice carrying more weight, but do not become preoccupied with influence. Guard your motive. You may see doors opening more quickly, but do not run. Walk rightly. Each time you choose the right rhythm instead of a faster one. You protect this season from turning into a whirlwind. I am not bringing you into a whirlwind. I am bringing you into a flow. If you are sensing a gentle expansion, unloud, unhurried, unforced, know that it is me. I am increasing your life in a way you can carry for the long term. I am teaching you order not as a dry rule, but as a pathway of life. When you walk in order, you do not fear tomorrow. You know tomorrow will be arranged. When you walk in order, you do not fear lack. You know where the source is. When you walk in order, you do not fear abundance. You know how to keep it. Continue to keep the rhythm. Continue to ask me. Continue to choose what is clean. Increase is coming, and it is coming in the right measure, in the right season, in the right way. The next part I will open is where you learn how to expand influence without losing sacred privacy, and how to use what I add to your life to build rather than to display. I am with you in every step, and my order will keep you steady as this season comes into full bloom. My beloved child, I am leading you deeper into the art of expanding without display. This is where many lose their rhythm, because they confuse influence with noise and reach with self-promotion. I tell you that true influence does not need to introduce itself. It is felt before it is named. And when influence is felt rightly, it lifts others up rather than pushing you forward. I do not expand you so that you take space. I expand you so that you create space, space for life, for healing, for truth to breathe. At this level, I teach you a subtle lesson about sacred restraint. Restraint is not hiding. Restraint is keeping the source pure. When you know how to guard the source, guarding motive, guarding inner discipline, guarding rest, your influence becomes durable. Those who do not guard the source must constantly look for a new one. Those who guard the source become a source. You will notice the difference when you no longer need to say much to be understood. The right people will hear you, even when you speak little. Not because you are mysterious, but because your life carries weight. That weight comes from seasons when you were still before me while no one watched. From right choices made when no one rewarded them. From moments when you stopped at the right time so as not to damage what was growing. Understand this expanding influence always carries responsibility for the atmosphere. Wherever you go, what happens to the heartbeat of people? Do they feel lighter or heavier, more truthful or more defensive? Do they sense hope or pressure? You cannot control how others respond. But you are responsible for the atmosphere you carry. My atmosphere is peace with direction, truth without harm, grace without compromise. When you carry that atmosphere, your influence does not need to force itself, it permeates. And what permeates always lasts longer than what is imposed. In this season, I will also show you the boundaries of presence. Not every open place is where you are meant to remain. Not every invitation requires an immediate answer. You are allowed to arrive, to stay, and then to leave without seeing yourself as a failure. Boundaries do not shrink influence, they sharpen it. You learn to be fully present within the right frame of time, and to withdraw before fatigue sets in. You learn to say enough with gratitude, rather than more with anxiety. When you honor your boundaries, you teach others how to honor what I have placed within you, and that respect protects this season of expansion from becoming exhaustion. Influence is not meant to be held in one person's hands, it is meant to be distributed through many. When I expand you, I do not want you to become a bottleneck, I want you to become a connector. You lift others up, return authority to them, and create space for them to grow according to their own identity. When you do this, your influence does not diminish, it multiplies. True influence is not afraid to be shared. Only fear seeks exclusivity. I free you from that fear by showing you this: what I have placed in you does not run out when you give it away in the right way. I tell you this: fast results may impress, but right results build. Do not rush to change rhythm, to chase numbers, views, or recognition. These measures have their place, but they must not become your compass. Your compass remains truth, peace, and order. If an opportunity promises much but demands that you break order, let it pass. What is meant for you will not require you to trade your identity for speed. I would rather you go slowly and rightly than quickly and wrongly. And you will see going slowly and rightly often carries you farther. I want you to recognize the rhythm of giving and receiving in expansion. There are seasons when you speak more, and seasons when you listen more, seasons when you lead, and seasons when you learn. The wise do not cling to one role, they move with the rhythm. When you know how to listen, you gather wisdom. When you know how to speak, you sow direction. Both are necessary. But if you speak when you should listen, you will be depleted. If you listen when you should speak, you will miss the moment. I am with you to show you the right rhythm, and the right rhythm always produces influence in the right measure. In the expansion of influence, I also touch the ethic of transparency. Transparency is not exposing everything. Transparency is living without two faces. You do not need to tell your whole story. You need to live consistently with the part you tell. When you keep consistency, others trust you, even when they do not know everything. That trust is the foundation of lasting influence. Those with enduring influence are not the ones who say everything, but the ones whose words are trustworthy. And what is trustworthy is built through many days of living rightly, more than through a single moment of eloquence. I know there will be times when you grow weary under expectations, other people's expectations, and your own. Remember this: you are not responsible for meeting every expectation. You are responsible for obedience. When you obey, I will take care of the rest. Expectations left unadjusted will bend influence into a burden. Obedience keeps influence within the flow. And that flow carries joy, joy that is not loud, but enduring. You will recognize this joy when you do what is right without needing praise. When you refuse what is alluring without feeling deprived. When you finish a good work and then rest without guilt. At this level, I remind you of your true source of strength. Do not use your own influence as a source for yourself. Influence is a result, not a source. Your source is still me in silence, in prayer, in the word, in the rhythm of rest. If you forget the source, you will try to draw energy from outcomes, and outcomes will make you addicted. I do not want you addicted to results. I want you nourished by presence. When you are nourished by the right source, your influence will carry life instead of demanding life. I also allow small adjustments to happen as you expand. At times I close a small door to open a larger one. At times I draw you out of a good space to bring you into a more fitting one. Do not fear these adjustments. They are proof that I am caring for quality. The one who is not cared for is left unattended. The one who is cared for is refined. And refinement does not diminish you, it aligns you. Remember, expansion of influence is not so that you become the center. It is so that light may spread. When light spreads in the right way, it does not burn you, it warms you. When light spreads in the right way, others are not blinded, they are illuminated. I entrust you with this because you have learned to keep sacred privacy, to keep order, to keep peace. Continue in this way. Let your influence be a gentle invitation, not a loud command. Let your life speak first, and your words follow. Let me expand you at my pace, and you walk with that rhythm, your heart soft, your hands steady. My beloved child, a legacy is not something you strive to leave behind. A legacy forms naturally when you live rightly for long enough. It does not begin with ambition to make your name last, but with faithfulness that sustains a way of life. The one obsessed with building a name leaves a short echo. The one devoted to keeping truth leaves a path for those who come after. I am not inviting you to build a monument. I am inviting you to build a foundation strong enough for others to stand upon without needing to speak your name. My child, legacy begins with how you handle small things, how you speak when you are tired, how you stop when you need rest, how you keep your word when no one is checking, how you apologize when you are wrong. These things may not be recorded in reports, but they are etched into the memory of those closest to you. Children learn by observing, the young learn by imitating, adults learn by trust. When you live consistently, you teach without preaching. And that is the strongest legacy, the legacy of a life that can be followed. Legacy does not require you to be perfect, it requires you to be real. Those who come after you do not need to see that you never fall, they need to see how you rise. They do not need to hear you say you are never afraid. They need to watch you place your fear into my hands and keep walking. That truth frees them from the pressure to perform strength. When you allow others to see how you return to the source, you leave behind a safe map for the days they lose their way. You sow the seed, you water. You protect the early season, but you do not decide the tree's final shape. The ones you lift up will not be you. The ones you train will surpass you in ways you cannot foresee. Do not fear that. Legacy is not threatened when the next generation goes farther. Legacy is confirmed when they go farther while keeping the root. If you try to keep them within your mold, you will break what I am doing through them. Give them space, space to fail, to learn, to grow. I will be with them as I have been with you. I also remind you of the rhythm of generations. There are seasons when you are on the front line. There are seasons when you stand behind, not because you are lesser, but because you are mature. From behind, you see farther. You hold a larger picture, and you keep the rhythm for the whole company. Do not despise the season behind the scenes. Many of the most enduring works I do not happen under bright lights, but in quiet conversations, timely counsel, and unseen decisions that protect the future. You do not need to always be visible in order to have influence. Deep influence is often invisible. In building legacy, I recalibrate your definition of success. Success is not when everything carries your name. Success is when what I placed in you continues to live even when you are no longer there. When you see others carry the values you kept, practice the order you learned, and spread the peace you carried, that is success. And you will recognize that the joy of this success is different. It is quiet. It is deep. It does not need to prove itself. My child, there will be times when you are invited to step back so that legacy may step forward. Stepping back is not losing. Stepping back is making room for new voices, new methods, new solutions. I am not afraid of the new. I am the one who makes all things new. But the new must be anchored in old truth so it does not drift. You are that anchor not by power, but by presence. You are there to ask the right questions, to keep necessary boundaries, to remind others of the source when the current grows strong. This is a noble role that needs no title. I also want you to keep the discipline of gratitude. Gratitude keeps legacy from pride. Be grateful for the source, grateful for those who went before you, grateful even for hard seasons. When you tell the story, include the slower chapters, not to complain, but to make grace visible. Those who come after you need to know this road is walkable, not because it is easy, but because I am faithful. Gratitude helps you tell the story rightly without polishing it, without hiding it, and a true story will nourish the faith of those who hear. In this place of anchoring, I entrust to you the responsibility of guarding language. Language shapes the atmosphere of legacy. Do not let harsh words harden what you have softened. Do not let exaggeration thin the truth. Speak enough, at the right time, with respect. When you speak of others, speak the way you would want others to speak of you when you are not present. This is not mere courtesy, it is protection of the flow. A flow polluted by words will cause a tree to wither, even if its roots are deep. Legacy also requires long rhythms of rest, not to abandon the work, but to realign your center. These pauses are not wasted, they are where I gather threads, tie knots, and reinforce foundations. The one who refuses to rest will leave behind a weary legacy. The one who knows how to rest will leave behind a lasting one. Allow yourself to not do. In the moments I invite you to stop, there. I often speak about the most important things that are not urgent, but must be precise. Remember, true legacy does not depend on whether people remember your name. True legacy is when people live better because you lived rightly. It is when someone chooses truth over convenience because they saw you do it. It is when a family keeps peace because you hold boundaries. It is when a community learns to distribute rather than hoard because you modeled it. These things do not need stone monuments. They need time. And time will do its part when you do yours. Rest in this. I do not place on you the burden of leaving something behind. I invite you to live faithfully, live in order, live in expansion at the right rhythm, live with sacred privacy, deep enough. Legacy will form on its own, like a shadow following a body. I am with you in every step when you lead, when you follow, when you stand still, and when you look back. You will see what I have built through you was not loud, but it could not be shaken. My beloved child, this is not a season of glamour, not a season of acceleration, not a season of constant change of scenery. It is a season in which I test what has been built by its endurance. For there are things that are right but not yet durable, things that are good but not yet deep. I am not rushing you, because what I am doing is not for a moment, but for many years. And time, my child, is the most honest teacher. It is not persuaded by promises, it only acknowledges what can stand. Staying is not being stuck, staying is faithfulness. Staying with small disciplines when emotions shift. Staying with right decisions when results have not yet appeared. Staying with healthy connections when the temptation of novelty calls. I know you have walked through seasons that required movement, redirection, and release. But now I am teaching you the value of not leaving when there is no need to leave. Some fruit only appears when roots have gone deep enough into the same soil. If you uproot the tree every time the wind changes, you will never see a full harvest. This endurance is not rigidity. I am not asking you to endure what distorts you. I am speaking of perseverance in what is right, what has been calibrated, confirmed, and placed in order. Perseverance is continuing to water when the soil shows no sign, continuing to do good when no one notices, continuing to keep your word when short-term gain tempts you to break it. Perseverance is saying yes to ordinary days, not only to special ones, and it is on ordinary days that I often work the most. In this season, I am teaching you an art few learn, moving slowly without becoming discouraged. Discouragement comes from misaligned expectations. Moving slowly comes from wisdom. When you understand my rhythm, you do not push outcomes. You do your part with attention. Then allow time to do its part. You no longer measure each week by a major achievement. You measure it by consistency. I am training you not to live by scattered peaks, but by a steady line of life, a line that may not impress quickly, but does not break. At times you will ask yourself, is anything actually progressing? That question is natural. But, my child, do not look for progress only in what is visible. Quiet progress is taking place in the way you respond differently, in the way you hold peace longer, in the way you choose silence over argument, in the way you say tomorrow instead of right now. These advances do not make headlines, they protect the future. Those who do not recognize quiet progress will change direction too early. Those who see it will stay long enough to see results. In this season, I place you before holy monotony. Monotony is not poverty, it is rhythm, just as the heart beats steadily to sustain life. Steady rhythm keeps what I am building from becoming disordered. You will do familiar tasks, see familiar faces, walk familiar paths, and there, I renew your motives. I cleanse hidden expectations, quiet comparisons, and the craving to be seen quickly. I refine in you the joy of doing what is right because it is right, not because it is new. When you find that joy, you enter a rare freedom. My child, endurance also requires disciplined self-care, not care for indulgence, but care for sustainability. I do not want you to burn yourself for the light. I want you nourished so the light burns long. Adequate sleep, proper rest, balanced nourishment, caring for your body, things that seem purely practical are part of the spiritual journey. Your body is not an obstacle, it is a vessel. A cracked vessel leaks what is precious. To care for your body is to honor what I am doing through you. Within the endurance of time, I also teach you how to handle small disappointments. Not the great falls you have learned to rise from those, but the moments of almost nearly there, and then not yet. Small disappointments accumulate and will weary you if you do not place them rightly. I invite you to bring them to me early, before they turn into bitterness. Speak them out. Breathe them out. Lay them down. I do not condemn you for being sad. I heal you so sadness does not shape you. When disappointment is handled rightly, it does not harden you, it deepens you. I also remind you of active patience. Patience is not doing nothing. Patience is doing what must be done without forcing what has not yet come. You sow rightly, water rightly, cover rightly, then you wait. The impatient dig up the seed to see if it is growing. The wise allow the soil to work. I do not need you to prove that you are waiting. I need you to keep the rhythm while you wait. And when you keep the rhythm, I keep the season. In this season, you will see me fulfill fewer grand promises but many small ones. Do not despise that. Small promises kept consistently build deeper trust than large promises delayed repeatedly. I am teaching you to live in the reality of what I have already done, not only in the hope of what I will do. When you learn to recognize daily grace, a healed conversation, a right decision that preserves your peace, a quiet evening of rest, you will not hunger for proof. And those who do not hunger for proof do not rush. Endurance through time is also where faith matures. Immature faith needs frequent miracles. Mature faith needs sustained presence. You no longer need signs every day to know I am with you. You know I am with you even when the day passes ordinarily. That knowledge frees you from living in constant intensity. You live deeply, and a deep life endures. Others may not understand why you do not change direction often. Do not reposition constantly. Do not chase trends. Do not rush to explain. You are not staying because you are afraid. You are staying because you are led. And those who are led do not need to prove where they are going. Time will testify. I have seen many brilliant structures collapse because of haste. I have also seen many quiet structures stand because of endurance. I choose the latter for you. Trust me in this season. Continue to do what is right with a settled heart. Let time become your ally, not your enemy. I am using time to thicken what I have placed within you to deepen joy, to deepen wisdom, to deepen your capacity to endure without becoming hardened. And when time completes its work, what I open will not need you to hold it up, it will stand. My beloved child, I will let you touch something many people fear: recurring cycles. A recurring cycle is not necessarily a sign that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it is a sign that I am bringing you back to the same lesson so you can learn it at a deeper level. My child, there are lessons you have understood with your mind but have not yet absorbed through lived experience. There are things you have said, I know, with your words, yet in everyday reactions you are still pulled. So I allow you to meet it again, not to weary you, but to free you. I do not want you merely to get through it. I want you healed to the point where it can no longer hook you. You will recognize recurring cycles in many forms. Sometimes it is a familiar type of situation, the same kind of pressure, the same kind of temptation, the same kind of misunderstanding. Sometimes it is an old emotion, returning an old worry, an old self-doubt, an old feeling of abandonment. Sometimes it is a familiar trigger point, a phrase, a face, an atmosphere that instantly makes you want to shrink back or react. And, my child, what matters is not whether a cycle repeats. What matters is how you respond when it repeats. For a recurring cycle loses its power when you no longer respond from the old instinct. Some cycles repeat simply because life has seasons. There are financial seasons that always rise and fall, work seasons that always carry pressure, family seasons that always bring turbulence. That is the rhythm of life. Not necessarily a lesson you have failed, but if each time life's rhythm shifts, you lose peace in the same way. If each time you are tested, you blame in the same pattern. If each time things do not go as you want, you fall into the same inner refrain, maybe I'm not enough, then that is a sign I am pointing to a lesson not yet completed. I do not only want you to overcome circumstances, I want your inner structure transformed so circumstances can no longer bend you. In this season, I teach you a practice that is simple, yet powerful. Pause. Before, a recurring cycle carried you because you reacted too quickly. You reacted to defend yourself, to explain yourself, to regain a sense of control. But now I give you space between the stimulus and the response. In that space, you hear me, and that small space alone is enough to break the loop. You do not need to change your whole life in a single day. You only need to change the first response. When you change the first response, the cycle loses momentum, and when it loses momentum, you can choose a new direction. I also teach you another step, naming. Many loops grow stronger because you do not name them. They remain a vague feeling, an unspoken pressure, and because they are hard to describe, you fear them. But when you name them, you make them smaller. This is fear of abandonment. This is the habit of trying to control. This is anxiety about lack. This is the reflex of people-pleasing. When you name it, you do not condemn yourself, you simply identify it. And once you identify it, you can bring it into the light. My child, darkness is strongest when it is unnamed. The light of truth weakens it. Within recurring cycles, I also give you the chance to practice forgiveness rightly, not a pretend forgiveness, but forgiveness as removing a hook. Some loops cling to you because an old wound has not been laid down. You tried to forget, yet it still governs your reaction. You tried to overlook it, yet it still makes you defensive. Forgiveness is not saying the wrong was right. Forgiveness is saying the wrong no longer has the right to shape your life. When you forgive, you are not releasing the wrongdoing, you are releasing yourself from the chain of reaction. And when you are free, the cycle no longer has fuel. Not every recurring cycle requires a fight. Some loops require you to pause, name, and choose anew. But some loops simply require a change of environment or rhythm. If you are repeatedly pulled into a certain pattern of thinking when you are sleep-deprived, unrested, and undernourished, that is not only spiritual, it is physical. I have told you your body is a vessel. When the vessel is empty, you are more likely to react by instinct. So sometimes breaking a cycle begins with going to bed early, turning down the noise, stepping away from the screen, taking a walk, breathing. Do not despise these things. I do not work only in long hours of prayer. I work in a life that is well ordered. Many loops dissolve because you return to order. Child, there is a sign. You are stepping out of recurring cycles. You begin to have compassion for yourself without self-pity. Self-pity says, I am a victim. I am powerless. Compassion says, I am learning. I am growing. I can choose differently. When you have compassion for yourself, you do not strike yourself with harsh words, and you do not call yourself by old labels. You speak to yourself the way I speak to you, clearly, gently, yet without indulgence. You do not deny your emotions. You also do not submit to them. You lead them to their proper place. That is maturity. At times you will think, why am I still affected by this? Do not rush to conclude that you have not progressed. My child, progress is not that you are never touched. Progress is that you are no longer dragged. You may still feel pain, but you no longer build your identity on pain. You may still feel anxiety, but you no longer let anxiety govern your decisions. You may still feel sadness, but you no longer let sadness close your future. That is progress, and I rejoice over that progress more than you realize. In this season, I teach you how to keep evidence of change not by boasting, but by remembering. When you move through a recurring cycle with a new response, take note. Today I paused. Today I did not reply in anger. Today I said no to what was out of rhythm. Today I chose to rest instead of trying to prove myself. These acknowledgments are like stones set as markers, just as my people placed stones after crossing the river to remember that I brought them through. When you remember, you do not erase the journey. and the right memory nourishes the right faith. Sometimes I allow recurring cycles because I am preparing you for deeper influence. Those who do not understand cycles will feel shame and hide them. Those who understand will turn them into wisdom to lift others. You will meet people stuck in loops you have walked through, and you will not despise them. You will understand them. You will not preach at them. You will walk with them. You will know how to speak one timely sentence, one that touches the root. That is legacy in action. So when a cycle appears, do not panic. Do not condemn yourself. Do not run too quickly. Pause. Name it. Return to the source. Choose anew. And if needed, rest. A recurring cycle is not a death sentence. It is a classroom. And I am in that classroom with you, not to punish, but to teach, not to shame you, but to free you, my beloved child. After you have learned to recognize and move through recurring cycles without losing heart, I lead you to a very subtle point of maturity, discerning when to stay and when it is time to step out. This is not the question of a beginner. It is the question of one who has walked long enough to know that both staying and leaving can be obedience, and that both can also become escape if you are not listening to me. I do not want you to live by inertia or fear. I want you to live by mature listening. My child, staying rightly is not endless endurance. Leaving rightly is not a hurried flight. Staying rightly is when the lesson is still reshaping your inner structure, when each repetition meets a freer response. Less defensive, more grounded. Leaving rightly is when the lesson is complete, and staying only feeds weariness instead of life. I will not hide the signs from you. I will speak to you in many ways, through peace or heaviness, through clarity or fading light, through the reality that what you once had to learn has become natural within you. One sign that you should stay is this: you are still being refined. Not refined by guilt, but refined by light. When you are in a situation and you still hear me clearly, slow down. Hold the boundary. Do not respond. Speak truth, and each time you hear, obedience becomes easier than the last. That is a sign the lesson is still at work. You may be tired, but you are not hardened. Tiredness can be healed with rest. Hardness is when you no longer feel. I will not keep you where you become hardened. If you can still sense my leading, still learn something new about yourself, still see old reflexes weakening, stay. Fruit that is still green belongs on the branch. Leaving the branch too early will not make it ripen. On the other hand, there are signs that it is time to step out when you are no longer being refined but only worn down. You are no longer learning anything new. You are merely repeating old efforts. You are no longer being challenged to grow. You are simply being drained in order to maintain. You may still be doing the right things, but life is no longer flowing through them. Only obligation remains. My child, I did not create you to live on prolonged obligation. When what was once a lesson has become a healthy habit, yet the environment is no longer suitable to nurture the next step, I will allow peace to withdraw, not to punish you, but to lead you. Peace is your compass. When peace departs, do not try to hold it in place with reasoning. Ask me. Do not leave simply because something is difficult, and do not stay simply because it is familiar. Difficulty can be a sign of growth. Familiarity can be a sign of stagnation. You must ask the right questions. Is this making me more like you, or only making me more tired? Am I being invited to change inwardly, or merely being asked to endure outwardly after each cycle? Am I freer? These questions cut through the noise, and I will answer not with pressure, but with increasing clarity. There is a subtle temptation in this discernment, the fear of missing out. Fear that if you leave, you will lose an opportunity. Fear that if you stay, you will fall behind. That fear can cause you to linger too long or to leap too soon. I tell you this, what is meant for you does not require fear to secure it. When you walk with me, no right door closes because of obedience, and no necessary lesson is missed because you listen. I stand outside of time. I know how to place you in the right place at the right moment. I want you to recognize the difference between ending and shutting down. Ending is completion and peace. Shutting down is closure and bitterness. When you step out at the right time, you can look back without resentment, sometimes even with gratitude. When you step out at the wrong time, you often have to convince yourself with reasons and carry heaviness with you. Do not rush to shut down what I am simply bringing to completion. End with appreciation. A right ending keeps your heart soft to receive what is new. A wrong closure hardens the heart and carries shadows into the next season. I will teach you how to leave with order. Leaving is not disappearing. Leaving rightly includes a clear farewell, healthy boundaries, and responsibility that is handed over. Leaving rightly does not burn bridges, it lays them for those who come after. When you leave rightly, you leave behind an atmosphere of peace, and that atmosphere is legacy. Those who leave in chaos often carry chaos with them. Those who leave in order leave order behind. I invite you to choose the second way, even when it is slower. There are times I will call you to stay even when you are bored, not to make you suffer, but to make you stable. Boredom is not always a sign that something is finished. Sometimes it is a sign that the ego is no longer being fed. When the ego is no longer fed, the soul has room to grow. Learn to distinguish boredom from erosion. Boredom can pass when rhythm is adjusted. Erosion requires an ending. I will give you wisdom to discern the difference if you are willing to pause and ask. There are also times I will call you to step out even when you still enjoy where you are. Enjoyment is not always guidance. There are places that are comfortable but no longer fruitful. I love you too much to let you fall asleep in comfort. When I call you out of what you enjoy, I will compensate you with a new life, not immediately, but enough for you to know you are not abandoned. Trust me in those calls. I do not take joy away. I change its form so that it becomes deeper. This discernment is not a one-time test. It is a lifelong skill. The longer you walk with me, the clearer you hear. The clearer you hear, the less afraid you become, and the less afraid you are. The freer you are to stay at the right time and to leave at the right time. I do not want you living under the tension of having to make the right decision. I want you living in a right relationship, where decisions are born from listening, not from pressure. If you are standing at a crossroads unsure whether to stay or to go, be at peace. Do not decide while your heart is still noisy. Return to the source. Rest. Let the noise settle. In stillness, I often speak most clearly, and when you hear, you will know not with absolute certainty, but with peace enough to take the next step. Peace enough is all you need for what comes next. I am with you when you stay, when you step out, when you wait a little longer. I am not confused by your journey. I am the one who leads the way. And you, my beloved child, are learning to walk with me on mature feet, neither running away nor clinging stubbornly, but faithful. My beloved child, as you enter this part of the journey, I am no longer speaking to you merely about building or preserving, nor only about staying or leaving. I am speaking to you about convergence, where the things I have taught you begin to meet and operate at the same time. This is the season in which you learn to carry multiple layers of awareness without confusion, acting while listening, moving forward while remaining anchored, being courageous while staying humble. You no longer live by isolated lessons, you live by their harmony. In this convergence, I teach you a foundational truth: do not confuse speed with guidance. You have learned to move slowly without discouragement. Now you are learning to move at the right pace without fearing speed. There will be times when I accelerate, not because you are impatient, but because the pieces have aligned. When I accelerate, you will recognize it by the absence of panic and the presence of consecutive clarity. One door opens into another, one conversation leads to the next, ideas meet resources. My speed does not leave you breathless, because it is sustained by grace. If you find yourself straining to keep up, stop. That is not my rhythm. Convergence is also where you learn to allocate energy. Not every good thing requires the same level of attention. I am not calling you to balance in the sense of equal distribution. I am calling you to prioritize placing more energy where life multiplies more. You will learn to say not yet to things that are right but not right now, so that you can say yes to what is required in this moment. This is not selfishness, it is holy stewardship. Those who do not steward their energy lose endurance. Those who steward it well will have abundance to give. My beloved child, in this convergence, I invite you into freedom from comparison. You have understood that your journey is unique. Now you begin to live that truth. When you see others moving faster in a different direction, you do not diminish yourself. When you see others moving more slowly, you do not exalt yourself. You know that each person has their own rhythm, their own season, their own burden. Comparison distorts the compass. Listening clarifies the path. I want you to keep your eyes on me, not to ignore others, but so that you are not pulled away from what I am doing uniquely with you. You have passed through seasons when you needed to speak. Now there are times when I call you not to speak, not because you have nothing to say, but because your presence already carries weight. Quiet authority does not need to prove itself. It creates space for truth to reveal itself. When you do not rush to react, the atmosphere shifts. When you do not defend yourself, tension eases. This is authority born from refined character, not from position or words. I am placing this within you slowly, firmly, surely. Convergence is also where you learn to receive and to give at the same time. Before, you often separated the two. When you were tired, you received. When you felt strong, you gave. Now you are learning to receive grace while giving life, without being depleted. The secret is not in your strength, but in the source. When you give from my source, you do not run dry. When you give from your own reserves, you empty yourself. Therefore, return often to the source in stillness, in prayer, in rest, so that your giving remains a flow, not a sacrifice that drains you. I will teach you to read context. Not every word needs to be spoken in every place. Not every action fits every space. Wisdom is knowing what is right, where, and when. You will recognize when a context is open, ears attentive, doors ajar, timing ripe, and you will also recognize when a context is closed, ears shut, doors heavy, timing unready. Wisdom does not force, wisdom waits. When you read context well, you save great amounts of energy and avoid unnecessary collisions. In this part, I want you to notice quiet joy, not the loud joy of major achievements, but the joy of walking rightly. You will feel your heart lighten when a day passes in peace, You will smile when a small decision preserves your calm. You will feel grateful for an evening that requires no fixing of anyone. That quiet joy is a sign that you are in rhythm with me. Do not despise it. It keeps you from the temptation to manufacture intensity just to feel alive. There will be times when you move faster than I invite, or slower than I lead. When that happens, do not prolong self-reproach. Notice, adjust, continue. I do not count failures. I recalibrate rhythm. A mature person is not one who never misses the rhythm, but one who returns quickly. And each return teaches you more about yourself, what triggers haste, what causes delay, so that next time you hear more clearly. My child, convergence is where faith becomes practice. You no longer ask, "Do I believe enough?" You ask, "How am I living what I believe today?" Your faith shows itself in how you speak truth gently, in how you hold boundaries without anger, in how you work faithfully, even when no one sees. Faith does not need decoration. It stands firm in ordinary life. And ordinary life is where I want you to shine. I am preparing you for long-term consistency, not breaking through and then collapsing, but moving steadily and continuing on. This requires that you keep the rhythm of rest. Rest is not stopping, it is refueling. When you rest rightly, you return strong without becoming harsh. I want you to learn this rhythm so that you do not burn yourself out for the seasons ahead. What I am opening before you is large, and I want you to arrive whole. If this part feels less dramatic than earlier ones, smile. That is a sign of maturity. Depth is rarely loud. It is steady. It is warm. It works quietly. I am working with you in this way, connecting the lessons, harmonizing the rhythms, placing you into a flow where everything I have taught begins to operate together. I am with you in this convergence. Keep your ears open, your heart at rest, your steps steady. The next part I will lead you into is empowerment, not power to control, but power to serve freely, so that what I am doing in you begins to touch others without causing you to lose yourself. My beloved child, empowerment is not an increase of power for you to impose. Empowerment is me placing within you a new capacity to serve without being consumed, to lead without controlling, to lift others without losing your center. I am teaching you to become a person of influence who remains humble, of authority who remains gentle, of a voice who still knows how to be silent. This is a rare authority born of maturity, not of position. Many think empowerment means being allowed to do more, but I tell you, empowerment first means being allowed to be yourself more fully. When you no longer have to perform, to prove, to please, you become strong. Your strength does not lie in being able to do everything. It lies in knowing what is yours to carry and what is not. The unempowered fear is missing out. So they hold everything. The empowered know how to distribute, so they do not run dry. I am leading you out of a life of straining to hold on into a life of standing firm in order to give. Therefore, the first authority I give you is the right to say no without guilt. No to what is out of rhythm. No to relationships that empty you. No to responsibilities I did not assign. No to opportunities that require you to trade peace. You once thought saying no was selfish. But I teach you this: a right no is a form of worship, because it protects what I am building. When you say no to what is wrong, you say yes to what is right. And what is right usually requires more no's than you expect. The second authority I give you is the right not to rescue others from their process. You have deep compassion, so you are easily tempted to carry for others, explain for others, do for others. But, my child, if you rescue them from their process, you unknowingly keep them immature. Empowerment is not doing for them. Empowerment is creating conditions for them to grow. You lift them through truth, presence, and healthy boundaries, not by carrying all the consequences of their choices. You can love them without rescuing them. You can help them without losing yourself. This is the new authority I am placing within you. The third authority I give you is the ability to lead without controlling. Control is born of fear, fear of mistakes, fear of loss, fear of judgment. Leadership is born of trust, trust in me, trust in process, trust that what is right can stand. You will learn to give clear direction without suffocating creativity, to set standards without causing people to shrink, to correct without humiliating. You will learn to say, "This is the way we will go," and also to say, "I hear you." The controller seeks certainty. The leader seeks growth. I am forming you into a leader. In empowerment, I also teach you to delegate without abandoning responsibility. As I whispered to you before, delegation is giving away tasks. Responsibility is holding vision, values, and atmosphere. You may not do everything, but you do not disengage. You place the right people in the right places, trust them enough to act, and stay attentive enough that they do not drift. This is the balance of maturity, and you will find that when you delegate rightly, you do not lose influence, you multiply it. Empowerment will touch an old fear in you, the fear that if you step into leadership, you will become hard, distant, cold. My child, you will not become what you have already been healed from. Old wounds not only frightened you, they taught you what must not be repeated. You have learned to listen, to apologize, to pause. These will go with you into new roles. Empowerment does not remove your gentleness. It gives your gentleness a structure that protects others. Not everyone who speaks loudly is right. Not every strong emotion deserves to be followed. You will learn to hear what lies beneath words, motives, fears, truth. You will learn to read the atmosphere where there is peace, where there is manipulation. When you discern, you do so not to judge, but to protect. I have given you sensitivity, but now I teach you to use it as a tool, not a burden. Sensitivity without skill exhausts you. Sensitivity empowered makes you strong. Empowerment also includes the right to receive help. You are used to being the one who supports. Now I teach you to let others support you. Receiving help does not make you weak. It makes the community healthy. True strength is not needing no one. True strength is knowing how to build networks, to trust the right people, to open doors at the right time. You do not need isolation to prove maturity. Maturity is knowing how to connect without becoming dependent, how to collaborate without losing yourself. There is a sign that you are being truly empowered. You react less, yet you become more decisive. Reactivity decreases because you are no longer easily triggered. Decisiveness increases because you are clear about what you carry. You do not raise your voice. You speak plainly. You do not argue endlessly. You set boundaries. You do not over-explain. You choose. This is not coldness. It is clarity. And your clarity will be a gift to others, because people are often disoriented when they encounter a soul that is both gentle and clear. Gentle enough to love, clear enough to protect. Empowerment is not being handed a garment for others to admire. Empowerment is being entrusted with responsibility so that others may live. When you use authority to lift, your authority increases. When you use authority to press down, your authority decays. I am placing within you a living authority, authority scented with grace, framed by truth, and paced by order. You will not always be understood, but you will always be led by me. If you find yourself standing before moments when you must decide instead of delaying, set boundaries instead of pleasing, delegate instead of carrying everything, love without rescuing, know that it is I who is empowering you. I am not pushing you into a new role so you will be afraid. I am bringing you into it so you will be free. Free from the control of fear, free from dependence on approval, free to serve without losing yourself. My beloved child, when you have stepped into empowerment and learned to use authority to lift rather than to crush, I lead you to the climax of this portion, the flow of healing. This is where what I have done in you is no longer only your story. It becomes an atmosphere in which others can breathe. But I speak clearly to you, healing is not you fixing others. Healing is you being present in my rhythm, speaking what must be spoken, silent when silence is needed, and allowing my life to touch what is broken while you remain whole. I am not calling you to be the source in my place. I am calling you to be a conduit. A conduit does not create the water. It only stays clean so the water can flow. My child, the flow of healing begins with a very simple foundation. Your peace is a testimony. Many do not need more advice. They need someone who is not frightened by their pain. When you draw near without rushing to resolve, without hurrying to conclude, without using beautiful words to cover a wound, they will feel safe. That safety opens the door for truth to be spoken, and truth spoken in the right way is the beginning of healing. You do not need the pressure of making them better immediately. You only need to keep an atmosphere in which they dare to be honest. Therefore, I teach you the first rhythm of this flow. Listen to understand, not listen to reply. When you listen this way, you do not gather information to argue. You receive a person. You honor their pain as real, even if you do not agree with every conclusion they have drawn. And, my child, that honor heals more than you think. For many of the deepest wounds are not only from the event itself, but from being treated as though their feelings were unreasonable. You will be the one who helps them understand you are not crazy. You are just hurt. And when they stop condemning themselves for their emotions, they begin to find strength to change. Truth does not need sharpness to be effective. Truth needs the right measure. You will learn to ask rather than conclude, to invite rather than force, to point out rather than accuse. There will be moments when I give you a single short sentence, yet it lands exactly where it must. Do not assume healing requires long sermons. Often, one right sentence spoken in the right atmosphere does more work than 10 right sentences spoken in the wrong one. Therefore, prioritize the atmosphere. My atmosphere is where truth and grace meet without canceling each other. This flow of healing also requires you to learn when to be silent. Silence is not neglect. Silence makes room for my spirit to do the deeper work. Some things, if you speak too early, people will cling to your words instead of seeking me. I do not want you to become a crutch that keeps them from learning to walk. So, at times, I will tell you to be silent and simply be there with peaceful eyes, with an unhurried presence, with a hidden prayer. Do not despise hidden prayer. It is like roots quietly drawing water for a tree. Others may not see it, but the atmosphere will change. In this flow, you do not bring other people's pain home with you. You feel deeply. You can empathize so strongly that you begin to merge. But empathy is not merging. Empathy is standing close enough to understand, while standing firm enough not to be swept away. If you carry their pain home, you will run dry, and then you will begin to help from your own strength, and your own strength will make you harsh. I do not want you harsh, I want you clear. So return to me what is not yours. Say to me, Lord, this belongs to you, and let me carry it. You are not the Savior, you are one sent to love in the right way. I also teach you the boundary of responsibility. You are responsible for your faithfulness, not for their choices. You can speak the truth, but you cannot control their reception. You can open a door, but you cannot drag them through it. If they refuse, you do not collapse, you entrust them to me. If they return, you do not become proud, you keep loving. This is the maturity of a healer, not attaching ego to outcomes. The immature need others to change to feel valuable. The mature know their value is in me, so they can love without gripping. In this flow of healing, I teach you to recognize manipulation without losing compassion. Some will use their pain as a tool to keep you. Some will say, I need you. But in truth, they want you to stay, so they do not have to face their own part. Have compassion for them, but do not let them bind you. This is where your authority is tested. You will say, I am here for you, but I cannot do it for you. You will keep the door open for truth, but you will close the door to misuse. Compassion does not tolerate what destroys. Compassion makes space for responsibility. I also invite you to remember your scars are not shame, they are certificates of grace. But use them wisely. You do not need to tell your story everywhere. Sharing too soon can turn your story into a stage. Sharing at the right time turns it into a bridge. When I give you permission to share, you will know because your motive will be clean. You will not speak to be pitied. You will speak so others can have hope. And when you speak so others can have hope, your story will not pull you back into the past. It will lead someone else out of darkness. The flow of healing also includes healing in the way you live. Others will learn from the way you hold boundaries and still remain gentle, from the way you work diligently without worshiping work, from the way you love your family while keeping your presence with me, from the way you apologize quickly and correct early. These things create a pattern that others can look at and realize. So it is possible to live like that. Many do not need more knowledge. They need a living model. You will be that model, not perfect, but real. And I tell you one final thing to keep you protected: always return to the source after you pour out. After every time you lift someone, return to me, not because you are weak, but because you are wise. Return so I can wash away what clings emotionally. Release unconscious expectations and restore peace. Return so I can remind you, you are not the one who must carry it. When you return consistently, the flow of healing through you will not drain you. It will make you brighter, because the more you give in the right way, the closer you remain to the source. My beloved child, you have walked a long path from inner rhythm to ordered increase, to expansion without display, to legacy, to endurance, to discernment, to empowerment, and now, the flow of healing. This is the integration I have been preparing. You no longer chase intensity, you live in depth. You no longer demand proof in order to believe. You believe in order to live. And when you live this way, your life becomes a testimony without advertisement. I am with you. When you listen, I speak. When you are silent, I work. When you are weary, I lift you. When you give, I replenish you. And when you return, I keep you whole. My beloved child, keep walking in this flow light, clear, enduring, Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving the living word together, building a steadfast faith and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.